Get my free book called The Overseas Basketball Blueprint by going to balloverseas.com. Let's get to it.
DreAllDay.com.
Everybody, Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. In this video, I want to talk real quick, maybe not so quick, with y'all about when you're playing ball overseas or anywhere international. It doesn't even have to be overseas. South America, Central America, anywhere where you're one of few American players on the team. If you're an American, let's say you're the only American, or there's only 2 of you or 3 or 4 of you on the team, you don't get days off really. You don't really get an off day from practices and training. Sometimes they call it trainings, whether that be on the court, if y'all got to do some kind of conditioning, if it's in the weight room. You got to be willing and able and mentally prepared to practice hard every single day. It's not like in, I don't know, maybe where some of y'all play ball in college, you might have a light workout. When you're playing ball overseas, a lot of times there ain't no light workouts. There's no such thing as a light workout, especially when there are not a lot of Americans on the team. If you're the only one, or there's only 2 of you, or if your team is not doing very well, then you're not going to have any light practices or light workouts. That happens often overseas. There are players that I have worked with who played at levels even higher than where I played at. I'm talking Euro Cup, Euro League players, some of the best leagues in the world outside of the NBA. If their team is not having a good season, or they just lost their last 2 games or something like that, then they'll have to go through these hard-ass practices, not because the team necessarily needs to practice so hard in the middle of the season or late in the season, but because the team's losing in a way that these organizations sometimes think over there, or the coaching staffs, or whoever's calling the shots. It's usually a combination of both. The organization calls the shots and the coaches do what the organization tells them, or they lose their jobs. They're like, oh, well, these players need to be put through a hard practice. That's the reason why they're not winning, because they're not practicing hard enough, or you just lost the game, so you might have to practice hard kind of as a punishment, so to speak, for the fact that your team's not winning, and right now y'all might not make the playoffs, so you might not make the next stage, or if you just lost to the crosstown rival or whatever team, you just have to beat them. You can have a worse season in the league, but if you beat this one team, y'all could at least salvage the year by saying you won that game. But if you lose that game, you might have to practice even harder just because of that. Just because that took place. I've seen that happen many times. And also, at the same time, the central point I was saying in this video is, if you're an American, let's say you're the only American on your team. I've been on teams where I was the only American. You personally don't get any light practices, because, I mean, just think about it. You can't blend in. You don't blend in if you're playing in somewhere, if you're playing in Serbia and there's 11 Serbians on the roster, and then you, the one American, all right, everybody's noticing you no matter what you do. All right, you don't even have, even if you weren't the best player on the team, everybody's noticing you because you're there. Because if you heard the interview that I did with Brad Candace of Euro Pro Basket, he explained that even though a team may not pay you a certain amount that you think is a great amount of money, they had to pay a lot of money just to have you on the roster, because you got to think of the investment that they had to make. Just to put an American player on the roster of an overseas team, let's just talk about Europe in itself, there's a licensing fee that you have to pay either to the league or to the country itself, because you're bringing in an import, a person who's not from that country, to have an official job working in that country. So they have to pay a fee either to the league or to the government just to have you on the team. So that's an investment they got to make that's based on you. The money doesn't go to you, but that's money that they got to pay because of you. Then they got to pay your flight. And a flight from the United States to Europe and back, that round trip flight is not cheap. So that's another investment they got to make that doesn't go to you, but it's because of you. They got to pay for all the food that you eat. Again, doesn't go to you, but it's because of you. Then the place where you live. I ain't got to say the same thing all over again. Those are all investments that they have to make, that if you add up all those investments, that might be more than what they're paying you as a salary. But you got to understand that they're not looking at you like, oh, we're only paying you X, whatever your salary is. We're paying for you to be here. We're paying your salary plus that flight, that food, the uniform, what else did I say? The place that you stay, and the licensing fee that we have to pay to have you on the roster. All of that stuff, and there may be other stuff that I'm not even thinking of, or I don't even know, that they have to pay just to have you on the team. And I'm telling you all that to tell you this. I'm gonna do a separate video talking about money, because a lot of players ask me about, finances and stuff, playing ball overseas. That'll be a separate conversation. But the team has made this big of an investment in you that they don't have to make in the other players. The other players on the team players from there might be from that town. They might have their own crib already. So the team doesn't have to pay for them to live there. They don't have to pay a licensing fee because the players are from that country. So they're just a regular person getting a job. They don't have to pay any type of licensing fee. They didn't have to pay a round-trip flight for the player from Serbia to get to Serbia, because usually they can just hop in a car or hop on a train and boom, you're there at the team, wherever that team is. They may be paying for the players' meals, but that's pretty much it. They might not even be paying for that, because they can tell the players, look, take your salary and take your ass to the grocery store and buy yourself some food. Whereas you, as an American, you probably will go to the grocery store and buy food, because I've been on teams where they did provide meals, but I still would go to the grocery store, buy myself my little snacks and whatever else I like to eat. I like to eat candy. When I was playing ball, I ate a lot of candy. So I go get me some candy, go to the grocery store and all that. But they might tell the local guys, like, yo, go to the store and buy your own meals. You know, you in this country. You know what you're doing. The American, you don't know what you're doing. So they might provide you meals. It might cost them a little bit more money. So these are all investments that they made into your presence, let alone the money going into your pocket. So if you come in there and so I'm saying all that for you to understand that they're watching you. Every single thing you do, you're being watched. When you're outside in public walking around town, everybody knows who you are. And somebody knows somebody who knows somebody, 6 degrees of separation. Anything you do, word's going to get back. You talking to a girl, word's going to get back. You were in the club, you was at the bar, you had a beer, word's going to get back. Not necessarily a bad thing, but everybody knows everything that you're doing. I mean, just think about if you were a celebrity in America and every time you came outside, it was people taking pictures of you, people just watching you. You knew people was looking at every single thing that you did, and it might end up in some magazine or on some blog, gossip blog. That's how it is when you're playing overseas. Not necessarily that you'll be in the media, but that everybody's watching you and everybody knows everything that you're doing. So on the court, they're absolutely watching everything that you do. So you go out there and have a bad practice, or you're not really working hard in practice, or you play 40 minutes the last 3 games and you're kind of tired, and you're tired of the coach talking shit, and you don't really feel like practicing, and the team's been losing, and you don't feel like you getting the ball enough, or maybe you didn't play a lot the last 3 games, so you don't know why you got to practice so hard, you're not even playing. All right, they'll get rid of you if you don't want to show up and practice hard that day. And this is much more and those of y'all who you play sports, if you're watching this and you're interested in playing overseas, or you've already played overseas, you understand that practicing hard every day is not really a physical challenge, because you can get either you're in shape or you're not. Is a mental challenge, because again, if you're on a team that's winning but the coach is still making y'all practice hard as hell, you're like, yo, why is we doing all this practice and the team is winning? And if the team is losing, then you're like, yo, it's not the fact that we're not practicing hard that's making us lose. Maybe we just don't have any talent. Maybe we got the wrong coach. Maybe we don't have the right mix of players. Maybe we're running the wrong plays. This may be your opinion, but they still want to make you practice hard. Or if you're not playing a lot, you're like, man, why I got to go through all this stuff practicing? I'm not even on the court when we getting our asses kicked. It ain't my fault that we're losing, but you still had to practice hard. All of these things get factored in. These are all going through your head, but you're still expected to go hard every single day, every workout, every conditioning, every weightlifting, every practice. And again, practices can be every day. Y'all might practice twice a day, depending on how the team's schedule is. If y'all don't do a lot of traveling, I was on the team, we practiced twice a day all through the week, and the games are only on the weekends. The games usually be on Saturday, either at home or on the road, but we practice Monday through Friday, twice a day. And you had to go hard in those practices. If you didn't go hard in practice, the coach would like call you out in front of everybody, like, yo, what is you doing? Like, you're not going hard in practice. Like, you need to practice harder. And management will be at practice watching. Everybody's watching, and they're all watching you. You might think they're watching the team. No, they're watching your ass. So you better make sure mentally that you're ready for that challenge. And any of you players who's watching this right now, you haven't played overseas before, you're probably sitting there like, oh, that's nothing, Dre. Yeah, I'm ready for that. I'm ready to work hard in practice. Now, when you get over there and you got to deal with this, it's a whole different situation, especially if you're in a gym that might not have any heat and it's the middle of the winter. I've been there before. They don't have any AC and it's the summer. I've been there before. The coach doesn't even speak English, so you don't even know what he's saying. And you ask somebody what the coach say, he was talking for 10 minutes, and they give you like a 20-second dialogue of what he said. And I'm like, yo, he was talking for 10 minutes. That's all he said. And you ain't got no other way to get the information. All these things you may have to deal with once you get over there. And I'm not telling you this as a way to deter you. I don't think this would deter any player who want to play ball overseas. Look, practice is practice. But just something that I want to plant this seed in your mind for when you get over there and when you get that opportunity, that this is something that's going to be expected of you. So be ready for it, have it in your mind, and before you get over there, If you're planning on playing overseas, you need to start training yourself on the court, off the court, as if you are already at a job. Meaning you need to be working out at least twice a day leading up to your season. Make sure that you're in top physical condition. Do not show up overseas out of shape. I'm gonna do a separate video just on that. Don't show up out of shape, because they'll fire you. Like, you might not even make it through the whole practice. They'll fire you if you show up out of shape, especially if you're going on like a tryout, or they haven't really you haven't signed the contract yet and they don't owe you anything, but you might not even make it through a practice. So make sure you show up in shape. I'm gonna do a separate video on that topic alone. So all that being said, if you don't have this free book, yes, you heard me, free book, the Overseas Basketball Blueprint. This is the guidebook, 237-page guidebook that tells you everything you need to know about playing basketball overseas, what you need to do, how to get started, who to talk to, where to go, who not to talk to, where not to go, dealing with agents, money, the decisions that you're going to need to make along the way, how to prepare yourself. All of that is here in this book. If you don't know me, I started playing ball at 14, didn't play on my high school team until I was a senior. I walked on at a D3 and then hustled my way into pro ball, a 9-year career that saw a lot of ups and downs, a lot of trial and error. All of that I put here in this book so you don't have to go through what I went through. Hove did that, so hopefully you don't have to go through that. So go to balloverseas.com. The link is down there in the video description. Work on your game. My name is Dre Baldwin. See you on the other side.